The stars above the frontier colony of Asterion burned cold and distant, like ancient eyes watching a forgotten world. Commander Elias Rowan stood alone on the observation deck of the orbital station Helios Gate, staring into the vast blackness. Beyond the glass stretched the quiet beauty of the Orion Arm, nebulae glowing softly, distant stars pulsing with ancient light. But tonight, the stars hid something. Something enormous. "Commander," a voice crackled over the comm system. "Long-range scanners just detected an incoming fleet." Rowan turned slowly. "Human." There was a pause. "No, sir." His stomach tightened. "How many ships?" Another pause, longer this time. "Thousands." Within minutes, the station was alive with alarms. Crimson lights flashed through the corridors as officers rushed between consoles. The alien fleet had arrived. Humanity had known about them for decades. They were called the Volari, a civilization so ancient that some scientists believe their empire had existed long before humans discovered fire. And now their warships filled the sky. From the observation deck, Rowan watched the fleet emerge from hyperspace like a tidal wave of black metal and violet energy. Their ships were vast, curved structures that shimmered like living creatures beneath the starlight. The largest vessel dwarfed the rest. A palace among warships. The flagship of the Volari Queen. A message arrived almost immediately. It wasn't transmitted through the normal channels. Instead, every screen across the station flickered at once. A single symbol appeared. An eye made of light. The Volari were requesting a meeting. Specifically, with Commander Elias Rowan. 2 hours later, Rowan stepped into the docking bay where the alien shuttle had arrived. The Volari escort ship was unlike any human craft. Its surface flowed like liquid obsidian, shifting slightly as though it breathed. The hatch opened. 2 tall figures emerged. Volari soldiers. They stood nearly 8 feet tall, their bodies slender but powerful. Their skin glowed faintly silver beneath their dark armor, and their eyes shone like distant galaxies. "Commander Rowan," one of them said in perfect English. "Her Majesty awaits you." Rowan followed them aboard. The interior of the ship felt strangely alive. Soft violet lights pulsed along the walls, and the air carried a faint metallic sweetness. After several minutes, they reached a massive chamber. A throne room. At its center stood a tall figure draped in flowing black and silver robes. The Volari Queen. Rowan had seen images of her before, every human had. But images hadn't prepared him for the reality. She was breathtaking and terrifying all at once. Her skin shimmered like starlight on water, and her long white hair floated gently as if gravity itself obeyed her. Her eyes were ancient. Older than any human city. Older than history. She stepped down from the throne as Rowan approached. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The entire room felt frozen in time. Then the Queen moved closer. And something unexpected happened. Her expression changed. The regal mask cracked. Pain flashed across her face. And then, to Rowan's shock, tears filled her glowing eyes. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Have you forgotten me, human?" Rowan stared at her. Confusion flooded his mind. What?" The Queen stepped even closer, searching his face. "Elias," she whispered softly. The sound of his name echoed through the chamber like a memory. Rowan's heart skipped. "How do you know my name?" The Queen's tears began to fall. For the first time since humanity encountered the Volari, their ruler looked vulnerable. "Because," she said quietly, "you gave it to me." Silence filled the room. Rowan shook his head slowly. "I've never met you." But even as he said the words, something stirred deep in his mind. A memory. Faint. Distant. Like a dream half forgotten. The Queen watched him carefully. I feared this, she said softly. Your kind lives such short lives. I thought perhaps you might remember. Rowan's confusion grew. Remember what? She hesitated. Then she raised her hand. A glowing orb of light appeared between them. A promise. The orb expanded into a projection. Stars appeared, then a small blue planet, Earth. But it wasn't the Earth Rowan knew. It was ancient, untouched by cities, untouched by civilization. The year displayed on the projection froze Rowan's breath. 10,000 BC. Rowan laughed nervously. This has to be some kind of mistake. The Queen's voice grew softer. It was the first time I came to your world. The image changed. A forest appeared. And within that forest, a human man. Rowan's blood turned cold. The man looked exactly like him. Not similar. Not close. Identical. The Queen spoke quietly. His name was Elias. Rowan stepped closer to the projection. That's impossible. But the memory in his mind grew stronger. A forest. A river. Someone laughing. The Queen continued. I was not always a queen. The projection showed a younger Volari woman exploring the Earth. Back then, I was merely a traveler studying young civilizations. Then the image shifted. The Volari woman stood near a riverbank, and the human man, Elias, approached her cautiously. Rowan felt a sudden pressure in his chest, like a memory trying to break through a locked door. What are you saying? He whispered. The Queen's voice trembled again. I'm saying we met. The projection showed them speaking, laughing, sharing food beside a fire. Days passed, then months. The human Elias taught her about Earth, about music, about stories, about humanity. Rowan's breathing grew heavier because the memories were coming back, not clearly, but enough to feel them. Your species fascinated me, the Queen said. But you were different. The projection showed the two standing beneath the stars. You showed me something my people had forgotten. Rowan whispered, What? The Queen's tears glowed like falling stars. Love. The room fell silent. Rowan staggered slightly. This can't be real. The Queen nodded sadly. I knew your life would be short. The projection showed the human Elias growing older, while the Volari woman remained unchanged. We spent 40 years together. Rowan watched the final image. The old human lay in a small wooden home. The Volari woman sat beside him, holding his hand. I promised him something, she said quietly. Rowan felt a tear slide down his own cheek. What promise? The Queen looked directly into his eyes. That I would find him again. The projection vanished. Silence swallowed the throne room. Rowan struggled to speak. You think I'm him? The Queen shook her head. No. Then she touched his chest gently. You're something even rarer. Her voice softened. You're his soul. Rowan felt the room spin. That's impossible. My people have studied consciousness for millions of years, the Queen said. We learned long ago that life continues. She took a trembling breath. I have searched the stars for 10,000 years. Rowan stared at her. For me? For you, she whispered. He turned away, overwhelmed. You brought an entire fleet for this? The Queen's expression darkened slightly. Not just for you. She walked toward the large viewing window. The massive Volari fleet drifted beyond it. Your species has grown, she said, and your governments fear us. Rowan followed her gaze. So, this is an invasion? She shook her head slowly. No. Then what is it? The Queen's eyes returned to him. A choice. Rowan frowned. What kind of choice? The Volari Council believes humanity will eventually threaten the balance of the galaxy. His stomach dropped. They want to destroy us. They wanted to. Rowan stared. What changed? Her voice became barely more than a whisper. You. Rowan blinked. The council allowed me one final decision. She stepped closer again. If the human soul I loved still exists. She hesitated. Then perhaps humanity is worth saving. The weight of her words crushed the air between them. So your fleet is waiting. Yes. For your judgment. Rowan laughed weakly. You're asking one man to decide the fate of Earth? The Queen's glowing tears fell again. I'm asking the only human I ever trusted. He turned toward the stars. Billions of lives. Entire worlds. All balanced on one impossible moment. After a long silence, Rowan spoke. You shouldn't trust me. The Queen looked surprised. Why? Because humans are flawed. She smiled faintly. I know. Violent. I know. Selfish. I know. Rowan finally looked back at her. Then why believe in us? Her voice was filled with quiet certainty. Because once one human taught me how beautiful your species could be. Another memory flashed through Rowan's mind. A fire. A promise. Two figures watching the stars together. And suddenly he understood something. Maybe he didn't remember everything. But he felt it. The bond. The love. The history that had crossed 10,000 years. Rowan straightened. Then let me prove something. The Queen waited. He walked toward the communication console. Call the Volari Council. The alien guards looked startled. But the Queen nodded. Moments later, dozens of towering Volari figures appeared as holograms. Ancient beings. Judging. Watching. Rowan took a deep breath. I'm Commander Elias Rowan of Earth. The Council watched silently. You think humanity will destroy the galaxy? No one argued. Maybe you're right, Rowan admitted. The Queen looked surprised. But destruction isn't the only thing we're capable of. He gestured toward the Queen. 10,000 years ago, a human and a Volari met by accident. The Council remained still. We had every reason to fear each other. Rowan's voice grew stronger. But instead, they chose kindness. He looked at the Queen. And that kindness crossed 10,000 years. Silence. Then Rowan finished. If one small act of love can survive that long, he spread his arms. Imagine what an entire species might become. The Council remained quiet for what felt like an eternity. Finally, one ancient Volari spoke. Human Commander. Its voice echoed like thunder. You argue that your species deserves time. Rowan nodded. Yes. Another pause. Then the Council's lights faded. The holograms vanished. The Queen exhaled slowly. What happens now? Rowan asked. She looked out at the stars. We wait. Minutes passed. Then suddenly, the alien fleet began to move. Ships turned. Engines ignited. And one by one, they jumped into hyperspace, leaving Earth untouched. Rowan stared in disbelief. They're leaving. The Queen smiled through her tears. Yes. You saved us. She shook her head gently. No. Her glowing eyes met his. You did. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Rowan asked quietly, what happens now? The Queen looked toward the endless stars. My people will return to the outer galaxies. And you? She hesitated. For the first time in 10,000 years. She smiled softly. I think I'd like to stay. Rowan raised an eyebrow. On Earth? Yes. He laughed. You might find humans disappointing. The Queen stepped closer, her voice warm with ancient affection. Somehow. She touched his hand gently. I doubt that. And far above the small blue planet, for the first time in 10,000 years, the alien Queen no longer felt alone.